Hey everyone, today is Thursday, the 16th of August. Is it actually Thursday? Yeah, it's Thursday. Wow. So, last night I discovered something really freaking cool. There is a series of Lego games called Heroica, or at least under the title Heroica. And it kind of plays, they're board games, essentially, made using Lego pieces, which allows you to redesign the entire board game however you see fit. And also, they left plenty of leeway in the rules. So the rules are intentionally simple because the game is geared at 8 to 12-year-olds, basically. But for those of us who are adult fans of Legos, or AFOLs, I'm sorry, adult fans of Lego, but AFOLs, we are free to make the rules as complex or simple as we like. For children or for our adult gaming groups. And so I immediately put every item I could in my cart on Amazon. I have been a huge fan of Lego for my entire life. The problem I have these days is I just don't have enough room for all of them. Under my bed I have the Death Star 2 and the Imperial Star Destroyer Collector's Edition, as well as the Imperial Star Destroyer playset and the Republic Cruiser. That's at the beginning of episode 1. I have a partially dismantled X-Wing because I had a couple of part failures. Apparently what happens is if you leave your X-Wing's wings out, eventually over time they will sag because they weigh a lot. And there's one part, well, two parts, that connect to two other parts. But those two parts are primarily responsible for bearing most of the load. And I actually had a part failure. Let me see if I left it out. Yeah, here it is. So, this is one piece. Complete part failure. It's supposed to have a ring here, and the ring goes around the part that's on the wing of the X-Wing, and then this part sticks directly onto another piece, so the wing can be removed entirely. And as you can see, this part is going through stress failure as well. So I need 2 to 4 more of these if I ever want to have my X-Wing displayed again, which I'm not especially concerned with right now, but in the future I would probably like to do so. It's distressing to me that I had part failures. That has actually never happened to me, except I have a largely dismantled Corellian Corvette. It was the collector's blockade runner. And they give you these black rubber bands at the front end of the ship. Kind of looks like a sideways hammerhead, or the hammerhead shark, you know, because it goes sideways, like a big cylinder. But it flares in the middle, so it tapers at the ends. And so what they do is they give you these panels, and they stick them on, and there are these flexible parts that have a hinge. And so you bend them back, kind of like this. Or on one end, there's a flat piece here, and then the flat pieces here that normally stick like this, but you bend them like this. Now, if you were just to leave them like that, eventually they'd just pop back up, because there's not enough, you haven't ticked it down, as it were, with regards to the hinge. So what they did is they gave you these tight black rubber bands that wrap around the entire cylinder. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these panels rubber banded to this circular piece that's supported through a structure. Now that's all well and good, and it looked magnificent when I originally got it. Although if you leave the rubber band there long enough, in maybe a dry enough environment, the rubber band will eventually grow brittle and will snap under the constant pressure, which is what has happened here on both of the rubber bands. The collector's edition sets for Star Wars, the earlier ones, like the Corellian Corvette, like the X-Wing, I think they were early in the development stage for such collector's edition pieces, and therefore there were some shortcomings in their development. Like, for example, the one part that sustains a lot of the wing stress. The cockpit actually never fully closed on the X-Wing, on my X-Wing. I don't know why. The rubber band snapping on the Corellian Corvette. The overall weight of the Corellian Corvette is absurd. But then again, so too is the weight of the Imperial Star Destroyer, which a friend of mine built. And there were some issues with bowing parts in the middle there because, if you didn't seat them just right, occasionally they would, bend just slightly. Or if they bowed a little bit in packaging. I think the only set that has truly held up to the test of time is the extremely robust Collector's Edition TIE Interceptor. It took me 3 hours to build, 1 hour per wing and then 1 hour for the cockpit. It has weathered pretty much everything, but mostly because there are no parts under stress. The cockpit seals entirely, unlike the X-Wing where it has this triangular piece that kind of goes up and closes down, and there's nothing to hold it in place. Whereas with the TIE Interceptor, the entire front of the cockpit is the way you open it, or the top. I don't remember. I haven't touched it in forever. I just love looking at it because it is a beautiful Lego set. I love Legos for the models these days, not so much for playing with them. But this Heroica, to bring it back to my original point, is something I wanna buy the whole thing, and I wanna take it to my D&D night, and I wanna say, let's play this. And we just sit down and we play it, and we figure out how to make it better and more interesting for us as a group of adult gamers. It operates as a simpler version of the Castle Ravenloft tabletop game that came out by Wizards. It's even simpler still, which is simpler than the game Descent. So this Lego board game is brilliant. It is effectively the gateway drug for children to get into tabletop gaming, to get into role playing, because you have the barbarian, you have the rogue or thief, you have a wizard, you have a druid, you have a ranger, and a knight. I think there's 6 characters. And then there are all these monsters that you fight against. And each character has a special ability that can, to some extent, be replicated by weapons that other characters can buy. So, for example, the Barbarian's ability, if he rolls, when he goes to do something, if he rolls a shield on the die, which you construct out of Lego, and he's in combat, he can use his special ability to hit and kill all adjacent enemies. The Ranger's, his ability is exactly the same as the Axe's ability. If you purchase the Axe for 3 gold throughout the game, your character can then choose to use that ability if they roll a shield during combat. The Ranger's ability is if he rolls a shield while moving, is he can then take 1 step and then shoot an arrow up to 5 squares away. Now, from what I've been able to tell, you can't shoot across gaps in the map, unlike in the Battle for Echo Base Star Wars game they revealed. So, at least I'm not sure about that. But, anyways, I'm very excited about this. To buy all the sets plus a storage box, which I will definitely need, is something like 120 some odd bucks with tax. And I desperately want to get it, but I want to talk with my mom about it first. She's the one who has throughout my entire life been the one to buy me Legos, and I want to talk to her about it. She was the one when I was a kid. She bought me like basically one of the first castles that ever came out, one of the Falcon Castle or Falcon Keep or what have you, where it eventually got to the point that the castles were getting so extreme, like I got one back there, that they were getting so big that I would use my original castle as the stables. So I would open it up and I would just have the horses along the inside of it, and it would be like the knights would go from the castle into the stable, they would get their horse, and then they would ride off to fight whatever it was. And it was just the best thing ever. But as I grew older, I more appreciated the models. Like, that original castle is still right there. Now, I've had to replace a few bits of it. I had to replace the drawstring for the bridge with actual black sewing thread because the original string had snapped. And in fact, I think part of the black sewing thread is also snapped since then. It just happens, whatever. But my mom, whenever I would break that set, my mom would be the one to reconstruct it for me because I was way too young to really understand what the hell was going on. And she was always supervising me with these things, so I never choked. And then as time went on, I got into the whole space police thing and the Aquanauts, and I mean, I still have a hell of a lot of the Legos still out and about. I have a couple of containers that are filled with Town Legos. I never really did enjoy Town that much. There wasn't so much fantasy going on there, although the police station is still right there and the gas station is still right there. But I mean, I've always been a fan of Legos. It's just space restrictions have kept me from indulging a bit. Although, I have to admit, that $500 Millennium Falcon did look delectable. I really wanted it. But as Mom is my Lego dealer, she said no. So, that's okay. I do have the playset. Well, the smaller, the first Millennium Falcon I think they made. So, yeah, I'm a collector of all kinds of things, aren't I? Snoopies, Legos, games, you name it. Until next time.